Hi folks, and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Entrepreneur. And today's episode, I want to talk to you about shouting from the rooftops, and if you've done something good or done something well or something that you should be proud of, not being afraid to tell people about it. Don't be a people pleaser. And what I mean by all of this is that we all have a tendency to underplay our achievements. I'm not sure why we do that. Well, I guess I do know why we do it if I look at my own experiences. But quite often that we're two things. We're too busy in the moment to actually take a step back and actually pat ourselves on the back that we've done something really worthwhile, really good, achieved something, and therefore we just move on to the next thing. That's kind of the curse of an entrepreneur, I guess, that you don't take the time to actually take any plaudits or, look at it yourself or pat on the back. You don't do it for that. You immediately move on to the next thing and it all merges together. And I think sometimes, we're certainly all guilty of doing that. I know I certainly am. But I do believe that from time to time, we should take a step back and actually shout about it and tell people that, wow, this is what I've achieved. This is the general direction the business is going on. This is, what I've done well, and this is how I've done it. And for two reasons. One, it's a self-affirmation to yourself that you're making progress and you're doing well. Because the biggest critic that you're ever going to have, and I've said it before many a times, and you've probably all heard this before as well, said to you, your biggest critic is yourself. So you're very, very quick to put yourself down, but very, very slow to pat yourself on the back when you've done something well. So there's that point of it. That's the selfish side of it, that you pat yourself on the back, that you lift yourself up as quickly as you would knock yourself down. But it's also about sharing your experience. Now, general public might take this two ways. Those that are your supporters and want to learn from you and want to be encouraged and are using you as a guide to help them move forward or an inspiration will take it positively. Those that are jealous, feeling bad about themselves, are likely to attack you, if you put it onto social media. The problem is that, a lot of people have put so much crap onto social media. Here's my Ferrari behind me and look how successful I am. And basically they've not actually achieved anything. They're just lying. Was it fake it before you make it brigade? And there's a lot of those around there. In fact, there's probably more of those than there are actually genuine ones. But if your intent is genuine, then I don't see any reason why you should be quiet just because there are going to be a few haters out there and just because there are a load of fakers out there. Why should you, when you've worked really hard and you've achieved something significant, be quiet about it? No, you may well be the personality that really just wants to stay in the background and not put themselves out there, and that's fine. But if you want to help people and your intent is genuine and it's not about gloating, it's about, one, the self-affirmation, as I said, that you're actually putting something out there that's telling the world that, look, yeah, I've done this and I've done it in a pretty tough period of trading, and you can do the same, and you can give them some content that will help them to potentially replicate what you've done. Then the intent is good. It's not about gloating, but at the same time you do get something back from that. Because as I said, you're very, very quick to knock yourself down. And most of us are not very quick to give ourselves a pat on the back when we do something well. From my perspective, one of the reasons I don't, I do quite a bit of stuff on social media in terms of content, and I put it out there for free, and I try and help people who are, maybe a few steps behind me. And I genuinely do that out of intent to help them. Because when I was starting out or when I was in their position, I didn't have that access to that kind of information. But sometimes I do take a step back and I think, oh, maybe I shouldn't put that out there, because I know that I've got some haters out there. They're not critics, they are haters. As much as I'd like to say I handle it well, I sometimes don't. I react to spiteful criticism. I know I shouldn't, and I know, I've listened to many podcasts and mentors that have told me not to react to it. But sometimes, sometimes it's difficult not to, not so much when it's a personal attack on me, but when it's an attack on the business. I find it more difficult to hold back on. So sometimes I do hold back on putting things on social media that I should be telling people about. Some of the wins that we've had. We've had some recent ones. And the reason why I'm kind of doing this podcast now is because I was about to do some posts yesterday and I had to think twice about it. And I haven't put them out yet, but they are going out this week. And they are, genuine wins and things that we've been working on in the lockdown that are fairly significant for the business. Now, I want to put them out there for a number of reasons. One, I want to tell the world that, my team are pretty good at what they're doing because that's what they've managed to achieve. And I'm pretty good at what I'm doing. And that in turn attracts other business as well. If you don't put yourself out there, you don't tell the world that you're good at something, they're not going to know. They're going to go elsewhere. So, that's a big reason for doing it as well. People can put it down as boasting. My intention is not to be boasting or gloating, but it is about telling the world that we're good. We've done something significant. And if you want to achieve something significant, then why not try and emulate what we're doing? But also, if you want help to grow your business or franchise or whatever, then we're the people that you should be talking to because we're making these achievements in a very difficult market. So, when I say don't be a people pleaser, this is part of it. If you're quiet about the services that you deliver, and if you are scared to put yourself out there, and the reason that you're not putting yourself out there is because you don't want the criticism, then you will be denying people who want your help the opportunity to get that help because you're silent and they don't know you exist. Social media is all about putting yourself out there, showing people that you exist. Now, whether that's some kind of influencer or whether it's just, sharing stuff about, what you've been doing every day or family stuff, it's about telling people what you're doing. So why wouldn't you apply that to your business? Why would you hold it back simply because there's some haters out there? They don't give a shit about you. They don't care about your business. They'll find something to criticize regardless of what you put out there. If you put a fluffy puppy out there, looking all cute, they would criticize it. So you may as well just do what you do. Put your stuff out there that is relevant to your business and be prepared for a bit of criticism. It's not constructive criticism a lot of the time. Those people that have a go at you are likely to be the ones that are just very, very bitter. Feel sorry for them. Instead of emulating what you're doing, they would rather take a pot shot at you. But don't let it hold you back. It is too important for you and your business, for not only for you personally and your personal well-being, to occasionally take a step back and say, wow, look what I've achieved. It's not about, gloating or being big-headed. It's about actually genuinely looking at it and going, you know what, I've done all right. You may not be exactly where you wanted to be, but there's things in there that you've done really well. We all are too quick to criticize ourselves. I do it all the time. I'm my worst enemy. Where you go, oh, I should have done this week. I should be far more ahead of where I am, far more advanced I am in my business, etc., etc. But it's only when maybe someone else says something like, oh, wow, you've achieved a lot in this amount of time. And then you sit back and go, oh, shit, yeah, I have, haven't I? Just take the time. Take the time to look back and, you might not even have to look back very, very far. It could be just something that you've achieved in the last few days and gone, right, actually, all right, okay, yeah. I've just done that. I've been wanting to work on that for weeks and I've done it and I've finished it. And that's going to add some real value to what my business is all about. Shout from the rooftops. If you've achieved something, significant to you, and it may not be significant to anyone else, but it might be significant to you, then why not tell people about it? Why not put it on social media, tell people and say, hey, look, I've just released my first episode of my podcast, or, I've got this guest on and I didn't think I'd ever be able to get someone like that on, or I've launched a business in lockdown, or, I've completely redone all my operations manuals or whatever it is. It might not be that interesting to other people, but you know what? It kind of gets it off your chest, where you put something out there and it's kind of, you're confirming something positive to yourself. And sometimes you need to actually put it down on writing and say it to yourself in order for it to feel real. So, to all the haters out there, you just have to understand that you will get criticism when you do posts like that, which seem like on the surface that they're boastful or they're gloating. But if your intent is genuine, and you will know whether that intent is genuine, and what you have achieved is real and you're not making it up, then do it. Because it's not about what other people want to see or their needs. It's about what you need and what you can get from it. And there are far more positives about you being able to shout out your wins than there are negatives. There is no need for you to apologise for you being more successful than someone else, or for you having achieved something when maybe the market or the other people are struggling. It's not about you gloating. It's not about you telling them, haha, look what I've achieved while you've not been able to do anything. It's about telling them that you've done something good and succeeded on something, and then maybe giving them a bit of content and telling them how you managed to do it. That might be helpful to them, might enable them to then make strides in their own business. So don't let these minority people, especially on Twitter — Twitter is a cesspit at the moment — stop you from doing what is right for you and for your business. And remember, there's a good chance that there are people out there that will appreciate the content that you put out there, will appreciate the fact that, in a tough time, that there are some people that are winning out there, and take some inspiration from it. And also there are people out there who will be looking at you then in a different light and say, right, okay, maybe I can do business with that person. And there's the upside. So get yourself out there. If you've done something worth telling the world about, even if it's something relatively small, social media is there for that purpose. Put yourself out there, tell people about it, tell them of your wins. Don't be afraid. Expect some backlash from those who are negative people, especially in times like this. Some people have got nothing better to do on social media than to just wait for people like you and me to put something positive out there, only to try and shoot you down. But don't let that stop you. Put it out there. Tell them about your wins and feel good about yourself, and don't apologise for being successful. So take care. That's it for today. I'm going to do another podcast on Wednesday. I was a bit lax last week. I only put one podcast out last week. Struggled with a bit of content last week. Plus, we were trying to get another deal over the line, which took a bit of time as well. So I'm hopefully going to announce those this week. And that's what's led to this podcast, actually. So hopefully you'll be able to see on my socials some wins that I'm going to be putting out there this week. So don't be a hater, be a lover, and talk to you again later in the week.